Hi, everybody. Our dear friend, Sarasota Tim, had his chance to catch up with his provider and get his lab drawn. And of course, it's a sad fishing journey of sympathy, looking for buy me a coffees, probably, in my opinion, most allegedly. But I did want to kind of cover some of the things that I found more interesting about Tim and not ever treating or diagnosing anybody. I am obviously always interested in people's personalities. I do look at people more as case scenarios rather than as actual patients because they aren't my patients. I'm not licensed to treat them as patients yet. So, as a student of psychiatric mental health and one that's very close to doing her nurse practice clinicals for that specific specialty, I find him to be a fascinating character on the internet. He, on the other hand, obviously does not like that I like to look at his content. But anyway, before we show his, let me get out my fair use because we know that Tim loves the channel strike me, and I believe I am the jerk that he dislikes. I do have my opinions. This is commentary, and I do make your content transformative, Tim. As much as you dislike that, I do add my own thoughts and opinions to it. Now, one of the things that I obviously have as a tool to help me in my work in psychiatric mental health, and it's only a tool because we're not such as the lab work that Tim's practitioner has ordered. We are only able to use some screening tools. We obviously have to do full physical assessments of patients. There's a lot that comes and is involved, and you have to very carefully consider before you give a individual a diagnostic um, code for a mental health within their actual medical record. So before you diagnose somebody with a mental health condition or disorder, you've got to be very sure what you are actually believing that is the condition or disorder that the patient is experiencing. And so, one of the things that we also use to help us with navigating a very complex organ, which is the human brain and the mind, is the DSM-5 with text revisions, which is the most recent version of the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and this is was released in 2022. And so it has lots of different categories, and one that Tim likes to liberally use, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is not something that like I said, I don't treat or diagnose. I don't know if that's something that really Tim is experiencing as a disorder. Now, what Tim potentially has is more, and I don't want to labor a term that I think it's very overused in social media today. And I don't know if it's something that just compounds it or kind of just an overuse of the term. But things to do around narcissistic personality traits. And there is narcissistic personality disorders, and it is predominantly more featured in males than females. Females tend to be more histrionic, and males tend to be more narcissistic. Now, it could have background within the culture and sort of acceptance of male behaviors. There's a lot of nuances, which is why it's not really something that we can just sort of kind of use as liberally, I think, as we tend to do in social media. So I tend to be very hesitant to use this, even with somebody like Tim. But Tim, as he kind of goes along and talks about his past, talks about himself, talks about how he makes decisions after he has, I don't want to be sort of harsh on Tim, and sometimes I am pretty harsh, is that he does really lack the education, licensure, certification, or any background to talk about a lot of the topics and subjects that he really enjoys acting as if he is an expert on. He really is the layperson, acting as the expert. And I think that's where you can get into some dangerous and murky territory. And I think they're always the people that you should be sort of hesitant. It's great to get their anecdotal stories, but it's not really somebody that I personally would want to get to advice advice from. Anyway, with that said, Tim went to the doctors this morning, and for some reason he's claiming that doctors do lab draws on patients, which I've never known that to ever happen. But as we go along, we'll start to look at some of the diagnostic criteria for this particular disorder, just as, like I said, I'm not treating and diagnosing, just as an information and education tool, and kind of highlighting some of the things that I do as I make my way through grad school. And all of you who watch, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel help me along with this journey. All right, Tim. And this is why I find him to be, manipulative. And I do caution when you see these types of character traits.
Good morning, you 111,614 beautiful souls. Sarasota, Tim. No morning chat breakfast because I was fasting for this doctor appointment to have him draw this here blood. Let me tell you something. That was the fastest doctor's appointment.
Now, doctor's appointment or an appointment for a lab draw? Or because as most of us are fairly aware and who have had any preventative lab work, or even like in a wellness plan, no, not so much for work, but even then they take forever to do. But when you're getting a doctor's appointment, it's not uncommon that they will order labs ahead of time for you to have and get resulted, so that when you actually meet with the provider, you can have them ready to go. Now, usually it's good practice not to do it the day of. I would try to go and get my labs, unless that's the way they set it up, drawn ahead of time, just to ensure that they were resulted and everything was done in time for my practitioner to see them, maybe review them in my chart ahead of time, because a lot of providers do that. And so I always think it's better to do it ahead of time. I don't know. It seems that maybe Tim did both on the same day, which it's not the practice that I would recommend for patients, just in case, anything were to happen. You want to get those labs drawn and get them done, get them to the provider ahead of time as soon as possible. Not, but within a 30-day range. So it's usually, you don't want them outside of 30 days. They have to be within the last 30 days for any labs to be good. And this is where we kind of come to the first idea of Tim, and just what they say with this type of personality disorder. And like I said, I think he has traits, is in my mind, in my opinion only, I don't treat or diagnose at this time, as a case study, a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, need for admiration, and lack of empathy, beginning by early adulthood. Oh gosh, I forgot to go small. Let me go small, guys. There we go. I wanted to go small. All right, we're only 24 seconds in. That's okay. Good. All right. So, present in a variety of contexts and indicated by 5 or more of the following. So, there's going to be 9 different diagnostic indicators. And so they would need to have 5 of these in order, and then other sort of parts of patterns of behavior. Okay, let me go back over to Tim. I don't want this to be too long, because people don't like long videos. Tim, go.
I ever had in my life. I go in, I'm a few minutes early. Look, it's only 5 to 9. My appointment's not till 9. I go in, I tell her my name. I'm here, and she already knew. I just wanted to know my name. She knew. And she says, down the hall and to the right to the lab. I had to get some blood drawn, right? So she pushes a button.
Okay, so Tim waited till day of his appointment to do his lab work, which means great. Does take time to result these things. So I don't know I hope his lab work is going to be ready on time. That's going to be a good lab to get that ready that quickly. There couldn't have been anything too remarkable that were drawn. They could be resulted that quickly. Some labs take time to result. You got to do different things. So not all labs are equal. And again, it's like they knew him. No, Tim, they don't know who you are. They just know that you're on the appointment. You said your name. She didn't know. She does not know ahead of time. She has no idea.
And the door opens up for me to go into the back. And hang on, let me back up and make sure I'm going to crash into anybody. And I'm the first one. Nice lady comes over, young gal. She's got a colleague with her, younger than her, that's training. I told her, I said, when you go to LabCorp and people like you that do this blood drawing stuff, you're really good. You don't feel it. And you go to the doctors sometimes, and the doctors, they can't get it in the vein and poke you 2 or 3 times. And she goes, yeah. And
yeah. And she thought you were just talking out of your proverbial behind, Tim, because most phlebotomists probably understand. I don't know which type of locations that she's worked at. I don't know any physician who's ever done lab draws. It's not part of really what they do. I don't know what what doctor, when and where. Never had that happen. It's either done by the nurse or a phlebotomist. Some hospitals now, to save the RN's time on the floor, will have phlebotomy teams going around and drawing labs. They stopped that for a while and handed it all over to the nurses to obviously double check physician orders and make sure that everything was actually needed, this, that, and the other. And then I think they realized it was just a very large use of time on the RN staff when other things may need to be being done in regards to patient care, and have started to again bring phlebotomy teams back out. I don't know any doctor, Tim, that has drawn a lab. I have literally been brought into cardiac cath labs to put IVs in to patients with a number of staff members standing there, including the doctor, and they're not doing that, Tim. Unless they're just a medical student and they're training to do that, and it's just part of training, and then they're never probably going to be required to do it again. The only time they really do it is if they don't do the blood draws. They might do casts and stuff, but not blood draws. It's not their. All right, I'm gonna stop, but not known.
Before I could finish telling her, and she was done and had me wrapped up and said, "Get out, you're done." I mean, I wish every doctor appointment was that fast. Most of the time you get there and they make you sit and wait. And
it was a lab draw, probably at the office. If you do it at a hospital, you may be waiting longer just because there's more people using those types of facilities. They tend to have longer registration processes and stuff. Whereas the doctor's office, where they have the phlebotomy there because they're doing labs regularly, looking at people's preventative lab work, they have phlebotomists. That's all they do all day. All right. Diagnostic indicator number 1 has a grandiose sense of self-importance, e.g., exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements.
All that stuff. But anyway, we're ready for coffee. Give me some coffee now. Somebody said I could drink black coffee, and I do believe I've heard that, and I trust you. But then I Google it, and it said, no, it could give you bad results. Don't do it. Even black coffee. And so that brings me to what I wanted to talk about this morning. And it's very controversial and can be argumentative, this particular topic I'm going to talk about. All right. I was sent Mr. Jim Bauer. Everybody knows him. He's on the channel. What's that? Somebody send me something? Have to wait. I'm talking right now.
I don't know. People send me buy me a coffees too, Tim. We just know that you tend to be more of a taker than a giver.
He's big time carnivore guy. Okay. As many as some of you are too. And then a lot of you are out there like, oh no, you got to have your vegetables, and oh no. And so I get sent something, a YouTube video that I watched, a live video, Jim.
Yes.
At 5 or 6 o'clock this morning in bed, listening to him do the question and answer, the live. And it was very, as any of his videos, very convincing that this man knows what he talks about. But he goes.
Yeah, there's nothing I love better. And it's not, I don't know who this gentleman is. I am not a fan of fad diets necessarily, just because I work in healthcare and I have my reasons. So I, just like everyone has their reasons, I have my reasons. And so I do dislike it when I have someone with their antidotal type stories and then they do recommendations. If it's based on large randomized controlled trials and we're looking at, thousands of records of individuals, which a lot of times with these studies now, we have so many electronic medical records that we are able to pull more data in order to get more idea of how people's health is before performing. So it's kind of been, beneficial in that respect because we can start to pull randomized controlled trials and start to maybe even choose healthcare systems in order to run these large cohort trials. Anecdotal evidence is not generally the gold standard. Just that is how it's perceived. And I know there's an anti-science movement, but I am somebody, and I will have my opinion of this, who strictly believes in evidence-based practice.
It's against so much of the medical community and what most people believe that they've always been taught to believe about too much red meat, give you cholesterol, and too much grease, and not enough of this, and you got to have enough of that. You can't go without that. And he sits and talks about the perfect human diet, the carnivore diet. Look at animals in the wild. They're not obese.
They're carnivores. You're an omnivore. I mean, that's just one straight fact right there. Your teeth aren't designed. In fact, you probably, if you ate a great quantity of raw meat, you probably get quite sick. So I would be, do it not cooked and then tell me you're a carnivore. I mean, just to be literal in it. I know there's going to be people, I know lots of people watch me are carnivores. This is just me. I'm allowed to have an opinion too. I'm more of a flexitarian. I eat primarily a plant-based diet.
He says, well, people say, well, they get more exercise. He says, no, they don't. A lot of them sleep 18 hours a day.
I'm going to preface, I don't eat meat. I have not ate meat in forever. I mean, probably over 40 years. Some seafood. That's kind of the flexi part. On occasion, I might have rarely some seafood or something. I do enjoy a piece of salmon, maybe a piece of cod on occasion. I tend to stay very, much heavier on the plant-based, just for my specific nutritious purposes. So I spent a lot of time in cardiac healthcare and have seen evidence-based results in putting people on plant-based diets to reverse cardiovascular disease. I have never seen that study in putting somebody primarily on a meat carnivore diet. That's not been the evidence that we've seen so far. So that's what is actually paid for by Medicare services to help those who have had cardiac disease, is to help them try to eat more of a plant-based diet. They do not recommend actually more of a Mediterranean style than this carnivore. That's just what the evidence shows. And I disagree with whoever Tim's talking about. And that's my opinion.
And I've heard of that. And they eat.
Oh, great.
He says, don't eat, don't count calories. Don't.
Okay. Number 2 is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Number 3, believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions. Continue, Tim.
Don't eat because you're bored or you think you should or anything like that. Just eat when you're hungry and eat till you're full, and don't count calories or care about the portion, and eat red meat, seafood, and eggs. Period. The end. A little bit of chicken and pork. I guess the guy's not big on that meat. But anyway, I'm listening, and it's a live thing, and it's a recorded one. And he reads the questions, and I'm thinking,
sounds like he's going to starve himself with malnutrition.
He's got me again.
In my opinion,
I want to do this. He's talking about
my opinion. That's what evidence shows.
Diabetes and kidney diseases, and he says that him and his colleagues, as doctors, have seen thousands of people reverse their kidney disease.
What evidence? What evidence studies are you quoting here? The one that I know is the diet that they. Oh gosh, now it's skipping my brain now that I need to call the diet that's the prescription diet that they actually give for people for cardiovascular disease. Because I've actually let me look it up. But that's the evidence. This I've never heard of, and with the diabetes, maybe that's because the people are avoiding cakes and sweets. But I do. I don't think it's because there isn't the carbohydrates. The meat doesn't seem to kind of go over with the sugars as much. But I think that you're going to find yourself having potential malnutrition due to a lack of variety in your diet.
And cure diabetes. So I share this information with others and this one other person. And right away it was combative. It was, no, that's a bunch of hogwash. He also says,
hogwash in my mind.
When you are you strain your back or muscles, your leg or something, to put heat on it. Never put ice. Never put ice. Ice doesn't do it. Ice slows down the healing. It might relieve a little pain initially, but it doesn't heal you. And most importantly, he says it doesn't heal you completely. He says, go into a sauna, put on heat. And so that goes against the grain of so this person was saying, well, what about football players who get in ice baths or put ice on their knees? And I'm like, you got me. I mean, that's what they do. So I'm not saying this person's wrong and he's right or vice versa. I'm saying I'm confused because even what started it was with this coffee thing. When I Googled it, I've had 2 people tell me I could drink black coffee. I wanted my coffee this morning. I couldn't have it. You can see I'm irritable. I need coffee now. And 2 people told me you could drink black coffee, before you go to get blood drawn. Just don't eat and don't put cream in, And then I go online, no, don't do it. Don't do it. So I get tired of, it's just like the fake news. It's just like what we went through for the last.
Oh, for goodness sake, Tim. Number 4, requires excessive admiration. Number 5, has a sense of entitlement, i.e. unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. Keep going, Tim.
8 years. It's just like what you hear about from those hate channels. It's just so much BS out there. And Dr. Ken Berry, he don't spare words. This morning, he let them fly. He wasn't vulgar, but he didn't hold back.
Well, I'm not holding back either. There you go. And I have I can promise you, I have no illnesses whatsoever at 55 years old. I am on 0 medications. I have no heart disease, no high blood pressure, nothing, no diabetes. And like I said, I've primarily stuck to a vegetarian plant-based diet. And a little bit of fish here and there, but not that much. A lot of that's going to put a lot of, it's not bad on occasion, but it's not really how we all, our mouths are designed, or our digestive systems. Meat will take a long time to work its way through our bowels. It can hang around in there for 12 hours. I think the difficulty is that the types of food that people choose to eat when they feel that they can eat liberally, they do tend to pick more processed and foods that are ultra processed. And I think that's more problematic and have shown more evidence of problems. It's going to be interesting if people really did follow these carnivore diets to actually be able to follow these people and get results and start to really, really see it. Because I don't think we've really had true large enough cohort studies to look at this and talk about some sort of ancestral diet. It's just like Liver King insanity to me. All right, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll use that word. But Liver King wildness. I'm sorry. I try not to use inappropriate words. All right, keep going. Yes. I'm going to put you to 1.5 because you're taking forever, mate. And we're going to hear some more. Tim. All right, Kim, keep going.
So he's a real doctor. I Googled him, checked him out and all that. Oh, we're at McDonald's. And I'm going to get my app going. Sorry, I'll be right back.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to go the same way as
you too.
Dr. Andrew, the one that
the
autism stuff.
Can't afford it.
What are you talking about?
So what do you believe today? We know one thing. We can't believe anything we see on the internet or watch on TV.
Well, that's good, Tim, because nobody should believe anything that you say then, hey? That's why I have my evidence-based practice, my large cohort studies, and the books that we've used. This has been studied for years, Tim. It's not like somebody woke up one day and decided to put all this together. This is the problem, is that you tend to be somebody who just revels into this red pill lifestyle, and it just is and I know there's others that watch this channel who do it too, and that's fine, but I just feel that it should come with a warning.
Well,
That's my opinion.
Well, folks,
I'm allowed to
it
have
is
it.
time to get back on the working and the on the diet and working on the steps and on the weights. And I'm all about it.
And I'm tired of the demonization of the medical trade, a lot of which has been fueled by the insurance industry. And then tired old grandpas like Tim. It's frustratingly irritating. And it's very untrue. And I know there's a lot of things that don't hold true. But this gentleman didn't, if you can come in there, and Tim, and tell me that you took care of your body perfectly up until the age of 66, then you have every reason to be in moan. But I don't think that's the case. So your body comes with a warranty, by the way. And from what I can tell, you didn't do a good job following it, because you didn't do a great job. You talked about drinking. You didn't take good care of your eyes. You were out there smoking marijuana. Who knows if you smoke cigarettes? Who knows? I mean, you expose your skin to the sun, and you want now doctors to pull miracles on you. You need to take a certain level of responsibility. I think, have I gotten to number 6? I think so, is interpersonally exploitative, i.e. takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. Number 7, lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Continue, Tim.
Beautiful day, gonna be 70 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And let me get this going now that I'm back out here on the road. Look at how large. Because I used the code. It was 99 cents. 106 with the tax. And 5 cream. They don't use that heavy whipping cream. Oh, I gotta go do some shopping at Walmart too. Walmart video coming up. Because I gotta get a lot of toiletries. I'll buy some food maybe, but I'm being careful of what.
Great. And this, I mean, just like people want me to video the fact that I've got the AC guy coming around to check my machine and my heat pump out today. Because I think the compressor needs to be replaced under warranty, and maybe the Freon needs to be checked. You think I'm going to video that? Nobody's interested, Tim.
You know what Ken Berry said? I'm jumping around. Ken Berry said, people say, oh, be careful eating raw meat. You get food poisoning, salmonella. He said, I'll tell you what gives you salmonella and food poisoning faster than raw meat is vegetables and bagged salads. So my senior salads, I got to be freaked out now about.
Well, if they're being, if the manure that they used came from cows, with salmonella, and the poop isn't washed off properly, you can get all sorts of diseases from poop. And a lot of times they use that as manures to grow these fruits and vegetables. So they just have to be rinsed properly. A lot of times, sometimes the water, it's the actual factories that produce these things, not the actual things themselves. It's the processes that they use them, Tim. It's the same when the meat gets contaminated. It's the same when the chickens get salmonella and the eggs. It's to do with the handling process for these mass meat production factories. Gosh, you sound just number 8 is often envious of others, or believes that others are envious of him or her. Number 9 shows arrogant, haughty behaviors and attitudes. I mean, people could say I have that one at the end, but I'm somebody who's quite educated, and to see somebody as uneducated as Tim and his just like constant use of the conspiracy theory, it's very difficult to manage to sometimes remain polite, and I try. And but yeah, I guess I can get haughty, but it's not because I feel like I need a sense of admiration. I just know that Tim is literally drinking the Kool-Aid. Keep going, Tim. And I know that there are many of you out there who follow the carnivore diet. You have your opinions. I have mine. I study a lot of science. We'll see who tends to have better, less colon cancers and heart disease in the future. Continue.
Let me know in the comments. Are you guys, because Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube, he's about keto.
And that's not to be mean to anybody, okay? Who's recently getting, I need to preface that. I know there's somebody who's been getting colonoscopies and follows carnivore diets, and I'm not wanting harm to anybody, okay? I just feel that I've ate very healthfully throughout my life, and my likelihood of having diseases because I've minimized my risk factors and because I've really understood it is probably a lot less. Now, do I have hereditary factors for certain things? Absolutely. And we all do in one way or another for different things. Are we able to try to minimize for certain things our genetics? Absolutely. And that's a personal choice that somebody has to make throughout their lifetime. And so I've made certain choices to be a big runner when I was younger. I was very interested in my diet. I have been teased mercilessly throughout my life for the fact that I have been so I guess in some ways it seems like a fad diet, and maybe I shouldn't say, but careful about the things that I eat, wanting really fresh, good, healthy foods. It's kind of how I've always gone. I've always kind of enjoyed like what they call the Mediterranean style diet, and that, except I've never done like all the meat and chicken and stuff. Anyway, let me go.
Keto,
with Tim.
It's getting long. Lion diet, carnivore diet. Oh my gosh, folks, this is my special. Oh, that's part of the, no, it ain't. Oh, go. Get that special paper off. Go to the car wash later. Get all that trash out. Folks,
I did put them to 1.5.
In the paper cup, the McDonald's coffee in the paper cup is the secret to the best cup of coffee you'll ever drink in your life.
You better check where those beans are coming from.
It just don't get any better than this. Break out the old milk water. Man, what a life living here in the sunshine. You know what I want to do is I don't know, go lift some weights real quick and then go get in the super crusher.
You know, pumping weights.
Or if I can get everything in the trunk, put the beach buggy in a chair, my aluminum chair, and head over to Lido Beach or down to Siesta Key Beach and sit on the sand. It's going to be absolutely beautiful here in the next couple of hours. It's a little, 63 out there. Going to go to 70. I bet it goes over. And with no wind and sunshine, absolutely gorgeous. All right, let me get over here. Going past the Sarasota.
What else are you going to talk about? Oh, it's just a morning chat after your doctor's appointment. Is that it? Are you going to talk about anything else of interest? I know you've already called the hater channels out. I mean, telling us your whole entire calendar for the day. Gosh, I'm putting you to 1.75 just because Tim. Jeez, I just need to speed you along, see if you say anything interesting.
Airport. Man, this is good coffee. Oh, I got my pea shooter in my pocket. Forgot all about it. Huh. I haven't forgotten about going and shooting it, though. I got to get up to the villages. Me and JJ, we got to, maybe tomorrow or the next day, I think is when I'll go. Yeah. That's good. JJ, have bed washing sheets. JJ gives me a bed that he crashes in sometimes. So.
You know, caffeine is also listed in the DSM-5 as a use disorder. Not joking.
One thing he's got, plenty of bedrooms.
So,
we're gonna ride around that golf
Tim
cart.
may have.
Play some golf, maybe.
Allegedly.
I love playing golf on them courses. They're really nice. They got all these hills and stuff. I got to get my golf going. I'm wasting my life. I'm not playing golf. What happened to me? I used to play golf. I mean, that was the first thing I thought of when I woke up before making my bed. Is when am I teeing off? I'm telling you, I was a golf freak.
Probably less expensive out by those casinos that you probably like to gamble in, allegedly.
Such good coffee. It's really hitting a spot. But I'm on that diet, on that carnivore. I'm still wanting to do it, though. I'm still, I like the way that guy talks, but I don't like the pushback that I get from people when I try to share with them, what he said. I said, no, can't eat that meat. All that meat, that's no good for you. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna switch gears on you again. Also, I was up at 3 a.m. to pee, and I put on my phone. And
great. Nobody needs to know that. Nobody wants to know what time you're having your prostate give you issues. Maybe you want to be on some Flomax, some Tamsulosin.
I was listening to Tucker Carlson interview. I forgot who it was. Somebody. I think it's a couple days ago. The truth about January 6th. Now there's another that is relative to what we're talking about, folks.
All
there are
right.
so many.
Beat you
They
up
call them.
here.
They want to say the word.
No.
What is it when you?
No.
They quickly learn that's fake news. That these people purely have nothing else to talk about for themselves to build a YouTube channel, so they want to copy somebody else's stuff and spin it.
For this one, I am going to have to go back and slow you down a little bit, Tim. God, I finally got you saying something interesting. I don't check these videos. These are always raw reacts, everybody. Complains about the hater channels again. Okay, keep going. Let me hear you.
That's fake news. That these people.
Okay. Oh, I'm the fake news, maybe. Maybe I'm the fake news? Am I the fake news? I don't know, Tim. Let's hear you.
So are you. But all these things that you hear from these copycat channels, I was discussing it with.
Here we go. Okay, this is actually getting interesting. Finally, I'm like 35 minutes into this video, Tim. I'm going to have to chapter this.
Or he's a Nazi and all these things.
Okay.
And now look at the country.
Okay, yeah.
We love the guy. Okay. And we find out that none of it's true. Just like you will discover, and everybody that knows me personally, while I'm not perfect, and neither is Donald Trump, far from it. And he's said and done some things, but hey, he's a human being.
Here's Tim and his equivalency to Donald Trump again. All right, Tim, go off.
So are you. But all these things that you hear from these copycat channels, I was discussing it with, the only reason I'm talking about it is I was discussing it with a couple of my subscriber friends. And, you know, they peer over the fence and they watch that sometimes and they tell me. And what they told me was.
Are they attorneys? Keep going, Tim.
Keep doing you, Tim. Because anybody that knows you, and most people that like, what is this guy, you know, they're talking about, come over and watch my videos, they quickly learn that's fake news, that these people purely have nothing else.
No, Tim, they don't. They don't, actually. They realize that you're all of these things
to talk about for themselves to build a YouTube channel. So they want to copy somebody.
I already had a YouTube channel, Tim, and I know Zachary Michael definitely had a YouTube channel long before you even had a YouTube channel. So this grandiosity that you have is a little bit self-inflated, I believe.
Somebody else's stuff and spin it, as a lot of them do, like the rag bags when you check out the grocery store.
Tim, these are your own words.
The real woke is us now. We've woke, and we'll never be duped again. Like I've said before many times, an analogy.
Well, that's, you know, well, you better enjoy all the years that you can with it, Tim, because you're supposedly lighting out in about 7 per your own statistics.
Once a magician shows you how he does the trick, how he pulls a rabbit out of the hat, smoke and mirrors, you can never be fooled again, ever. You know, some people believe in wrestling. Now, while those guys are very athletic and have had some injuries, it's not real. It's not real. So all this stuff you listen to on those copycat channels, all that crap you hear on CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS, and a lot of what you hear on Fox News, probably, you take it with a grain of salt. And a lot of it, you can take none of it. Don't even watch it.
Well, where are you learning anything from, Tim? Are you going to actually start looking at some randomized controlled trials from cohort studies? Are you just going to listen to random people that are your subscribers who are, that's
garbage.
Carry on. Oh, he's so upset.
I want to talk about this. I want to know how many of you think I'm onto something here, or you thought the same thing.
I don't know.
I am a person with common sense. And the day, I hope I don't make any of you mad, the day they announce, go home, sit down, give us 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and that Fauci character comes out and starts.
Are you really still going on about something in 2025 that happened in 2020? Just to move on, Tim. I'm putting you back to 1.75 just to I feel like sometimes, Tim, it's just boring with you. Okay, keep going. You sound like the grandpa we don't want at dinner. And I'm sorry if it offends any of you out there, but he does.
Something's not.
That's what the kids think.
First minute. And the point of that is,
it's not healthy.
I'm using that as an analogy. Is what was I
Healthy.
say? That I recognize something else as not being like right away what they say it is. What is that? What are they saying right now?
You just sound like an old entitled white guy. You still don't even sound happy, Tim. It's terrible. That's my opinion.
Okay, this part out. I'm drawing a blank. There's two things you forget when you get older. There's two things you lose. See? That's up the joke. One is your memory, and I can't remember the other one. Something, and I was going to say I'm suspect of it when I heard it. What was it? Something they just started talking about.
Well, it's
okay. I'm getting
well because Tim, you just talk to talk. That's why you forget what you're going to say. You have no plan. You just come out here, you throw on the camera, and you just say whatever's on the top of your mind with no expertise, no knowledge, no skill, absolutely nothing to back anything up that you say. Oh, I saw this. My subscriber said this one guy with his anecdotal, no cohort, no randomized controlled trial, who's I'm sure at some point is going to get the same treatment as that gentleman, the doctor who's been stripped of his medical license for the just absolute nonsense he said about the vaccines and autism. And yes, it's been debunked. And I'm sorry if that makes people squirm.
Thinking of it. Help me out. Had to do with something. Folks, I need more coffee. Well, I wasn't successful at remembering the other thing that it'll come to me later.
No, I'm sure
what I feel is suspect. That I have a sixth sense.
Oh, I'm sure it's a conspiracy theory and that we're all copycats and your channel content is just absolutely amazing. Carry on, Tim. I want this done.
It's saying I don't think that's what it is.
This afternoon.
But when I think of it, I'll put it in the video and tell you. Right now I'm at LA Fitness. Time to go in there and get my pump on and crush.
No, there's no such thing as a pump on. There's no such thing as a pump on. You're just working out, Tim. All right, guys. He's still very unhappy with us hater channels and copycat channels because his content is so good. All right, guys. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of common sense. If Tim cannot figure out even how to eat a properly managed diet by the time you're 66, yeah, you're a little late for stuff, Tim. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.